5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And with that, welcome to your Media Mosh podcast. I am your host, Shane Beauregard, coming at you with all your news, reviews, and previews on what's coming to your streaming services, your television, and your local theater. I hope everyone's had a great week coming at you Sunday afternoon, August the 25th, and I made it. Hallelujah. I made it. The VP just got back a couple hours ago. She's taking the kids to Target, so I figured I'll come in here this afternoon, knock this out, because to be honest with you, I am kicking back a couple drinks tonight, even though I have to work Monday morning. It's been a week, just a week, and it just hit. Everything came to a head starting yesterday, Saturday, and it just, I was counting down the seconds, but I made it. So there's been a lot of news earlier this week, and now leaking through the weekend, you have D23. So a lot of this stuff has already been talked about and debated since the beginning of the week, but I just figured I'd throw my 2 cents in there. There's probably news coming out as we speak. But anyway, here we go. Let's start off on a good foot. I'm going to give you some Betty Gilpin news. That's right. She's becoming a big favorite of mine. She's on the show Glow, playing the character Debbie. She just joins Chris Pratt in the new sci-fi movie Ghost Draft. That's all I know. I don't know anything else about it. Her other movie, The Hunt, was in headlines because Blumhouse canceled it because of all the shootings. Spider-Man Far From Home is getting re-released with 4 whole extra minutes if you want to go see that around Labor Day, which is weird because it's still playing here, so I don't know. In the HBO project, The Righteous Gemstones, starring Danny McBride and John Goodman, was the most watched comedy series in the last 3 years. The Matrix 4, it has been confirmed Keanu Reeves and Trinity and one of the Wachowski sisters are back, and I'm not geeking out about this. I love the first Matrix. I feel like the second one gets dumped on a little too much. There's some great action sets and pieces in that movie, but they did lay an egg on the third one. So I don't know where the story goes. I feel like they completed their story. I don't know what else to say. The Wachowski sisters, they haven't done anything good in a while. They're not a one-hit wonder like some people are painting them to be. They are a 2-movie wonder. Right before The Matrix, there's a nice little movie called Bound, with Jennifer Tilly, Joe Pantoliano, and Gina Gershon, where 2 lesbian lovers, one's an ex-con, steal Joey Pantoliano's money and hide it. And that's pretty much the setup of the movie, but came out in 1996, a couple years before the first Matrix. Then they just hit dud after dud after dud. Some people stick up for Speed Racer, which I was never a cartoon Speed Racer fan. I did try to watch the movie, and it just wasn't for me. But visually, they can make a movie. Content-wise is where they're lacking. So, who knows? I mean, they have my money. I'll go see this in the theater. I'm just not pumped up about it. Kit Harington is joining the MCU. And early speculation was, I loved it. This is why I love social media. They're all speculating Wolverine, which I could have told you that wasn't going to be the case. But I actually would have loved if he was cast as Wolverine. Just part of me likes to see the fanboy base just blow up, especially now that we have social media. Oh, it would have been awesome to sit back and just read all these reactions. But no, he has been cast as the Black Knight as part of the Eternals movie, which just coming off of playing Jon Snow is a nice lateral move. And just as he's entering, as everyone knows, Spider-Man is leaving the MCU because Disney and Marvel cannot come to an agreement. And who knows? I mean, just back off, Sony. Jesus Christ. I mean, yes, will it suck if he's permanently out of the MCU? He gave us 2 good movies and great appearances in the Infinity War saga and Captain America Civil War. So, new information is being pumped out every day. Like I just read before doing this podcast, that the original writers for Spider-Man 1, Far From Home, and Homecoming are on board for the third Spider-Man. So if the writing's there and the director's there, I'm pretty sure Sony's going to do a good job. Now, they have made good Spider-Man movies in the past. The first 2, which is a long time ago, I know. And Venom was a dud. But I guarantee you they're going to shoehorn him and Tom Hardy into this new Tom Holland Spider-Man, which, yeah, I'm kind of liking that idea. So let's just back off, pump the brakes. And I do believe that some point, maybe something will get done. But everyone, let's just not kiss Marvel's ass and put down Sony. I mean, I'm going to let this play out a little bit, but I'm not as butthurt as everyone on the internet lately over this decision. A couple trailers I watched this week. I saw A Marriage Story, a Netflix original movie with Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, who I am really liking these days. And not based on the Star Wars stuff. He really got me on that Logan Lucky movie, which is on Amazon Prime right now, with Daniel Craig, Channing Tatum. But yeah, go check that out. Ever since that performance, he's grown on me. Like him. And it's about a marriage apparently falling apart. So it might be one of those tearjerkers. I did see the trailer for The Mandalorian last night. And if you know anything about me and have been listening to me, I don't like Star Wars. I like some of the movies. More often than not, it's their Star Wars stories. Like, I liked Rogue One. I even liked the Han Solo movie. And Force Awakens was a nice paint-by-numbers Star Wars movie. Outside of that, I give two fucks about Star Wars. But this trailer, I'm on board with this. I like this. John Favreau directed. First shot of Carl Weathers pulls me in. I'm there. November 12th, coming on Disney Plus, which, yes, I will get a subscription to that. Also, the trailer for Noelle with Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader. Another Christmas Santa movie where Santa steps down, Bill Hader steps in to fill his shoes. Doesn't know what he's doing. His sister, Anna Kendrick, tells him to take a little vacation, and he goes MIA, and it's about her trying to track him down. So, kind of part elf, part Santa Claus. That's what I got out of it. Then coming out of D23, they did announce a bunch of new series, but the ones I'm looking forward to is She-Hulk. For some reason, I don't know why. I never read her in the comics, but I just like that coming to the big, small screen. But also Moon Knight. That's the one that gets me. Now, he's one of my favorite Marvel characters from back in the day. I just hope they do it kind of like Netflix did Daredevil and Punisher, and basically their series except for Iron Fist. My hopes are high on that one, as long as they do the right tone with that show. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, pumped up. Netflix dropped the title and teaser trailer for El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, coming out October the 11th, so not that far away. And I'll tell you, Breaking Bad is it's in my top 5 shows. But I got the bar set mid-level here, folks, mid-level, and I'll tell you why. It's coming off such a great series, and a good series finale. It's hard. It's hard. My only hope is this. I hope it's as good as, or at least on par with the Deadwood movie that got released earlier this year on HBO. If it's as good as that, awesome. But I'm a little skeptical. But yeah, so that's coming out October 11th. So let's move over to the box office. Here are your top 5. Number 5, Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, bringing in $8.14 million, which brings his 4-week total to $147 million. Not too good on a $200 million budget. Coming in at number 4, The Lion King, bringing in $8.15 million, which brings its 5-week total to $510 million. Number 3 is Overcomer. I don't know what that is, but it made $8.2 million first week in release. I want to say that's a Christian movie, which is pretty smart because the budget was like literally $3 million. And the studio name, I think, is Affinity, so I kind of think it's one of those motivational, inspirational, come to Jesus movies. Good Boys falls from number 1 and number 2, bringing in $11 million, which brings his 2-week total to $32 on a $20 million budget. And this surprised the shit out of me. Gerard Butler rules the box office this weekend, which you don't get to say that much. Bringing in Angel Has Fallen, bringing in $21 million. The first weekend release, I don't have a budget on that. They did not release that. The movie Ready or Not also debuted this weekend, but came in at number 6 with $7.5 million. Now, next week is a good week to catch up on any movies you haven't seen in the last month, because the movies coming out next week is a movie called Don't Let Go and Official Secrets. And I know absolutely shit about either one of those movies. So, catch up weekend. And my Amazon Prime picks of the week, MI6 Fallout, in a simple favor. Yes, if you do have Prime, you don't have to rent them. They're there right now. I just watched Mission Impossible again Friday night. Fucking awesome. Just awesome. Even Henry Cavill was good. But yeah, check those out. My Netflix pick of the week is The Babysitter, which has been out for a while. It's a nicely done McG project, which you don't hear that very often either. I enjoyed it. It's I don't even want to say guilty pleasure movie. I just liked it for what it was. Crazy babysitter and a cult, and yeah. I'm only using that as the pick of the week because it starred Samara Weaving, who is the star of Ready or Not. So if you like her, go check her out in The Babysitter. All right, folks. So I did get to see 2 feature films this week, which was awesome. It's a rarity for me. I started watching Working Mom Season 2 on Netflix. The one that was written and created by Maurice Ponderosa from It's Always Sunny. And I'm actually liking the first couple episodes of Season 2 more than I did Season 1. Though the only problem I'm having, I know this sounds mean, but I can't stop staring at her fucking lips. I can't do it. I feel like Austin Powers looking at Fred Savage with the mole. I can't get past it. Every scene she's in, I go right for the mouth. If anything, just take a look at it. I mean, I've never seen lips that way. So, but anyway, Season 2 is carrying on pretty good. Now, let's get into what I watched this week at the theater. First one was, I was really looking forward to it. It was Ready or Not, sitting at 87% critic score with an 81% audience score. This one stars Samara Weaving, Mark O'Brien, Adam Brody, and a very tight-faced Annie McDowell. And if you've seen the trailer, you know exactly what you're getting from this movie. You have Alex and Grace getting married at Alex's parents' house, which is this huge castle, because he comes from a very wealthy and eccentric, is putting it very lightly, family. And this family likes their traditions. And their tradition, whenever a new member enters their family, is to play a game. And she happens to pick the one game no one wanted to play. Or at least you think no one wanted to play. Hide and seek. Where she hides and they come and try to kill you. That is the movie in a nutshell. What elevates this movie is the performance by Samara Weaving, playing Grace, who goes from, once she finds out what's actually happening to her and she comes to grips with it, her transformation was really good. Put Alex in a moral dilemma. Does he help his new wife out, or does the bond that holds him to his family, is that stronger? And you do get that played in here a lot. But I will say, for me, the scene stealer was Adam Brody. Every scene he was in was funny. Besides Grace, he was the only character that had a full story arc, in my opinion, because he just doesn't give a shit anymore. He realizes how crazy his family is and how he just doesn't want to be a part of it. So he really just doesn't care. This movie is a nice balance of dark humor and just a good thriller. I wouldn't really say horror, but it is a good thrill ride with some good laughs in here. Some of the jokes didn't land for me. I didn't like the grandmother in this movie. Annie McDowell was actually okay. But, you know, at the beginning of this movie, I had some questions about, because at the very beginning of the movie, once you get past the wedding, which they kind of lay the rules. Well, they don't really tell her anything about the game. That's kind of messed up. But they kind of fill her in with the family tradition and how they got into the gaming business, the board game business, and so forth and so on. I like the setting, everything taking place in this luxurious mansion. I love the design of it. And it is funny because they're hunting her down with these archaic weapons. And there's a lot of jokes about, please, can we use something from this century? I did like the cat and mouse game that went on throughout this movie. One of the knocks of this movie is the actual writing. They build these characters up in the first 2 acts. And in the 3rd act, they're making totally decisions they shouldn't be making. Weaving its way through this movie, I kept thinking to myself, how are they going to end this movie? Because it does go in a certain direction. This movie does make you think about halfway through, what is really going on here, and is this really going to happen? And it happens. They stuck the landing of this movie, which really answered almost every question I had and made the movie a total blast. Like, I would have liked it. I still would have liked it if it had a different ending, depending, but the payoff made this movie worth my while. It was just a good, fun, I like the concept. I just love the concept of the movie. It was a good, fun movie. Again, with great performances by Samara Weaving, so keep an eye on her. She's kind of a discount Margot Robbie at this point. That's who she reminds me of. And again, the scene stealer, that was Adam Brody. So I have to agree with the critics on this one. I'm going to give Ready or Not a 3.75 out of 5. You should go check that out. And the movie I was really been wanting to see for the last 2 weeks, so thank God it finally came here, is the Peanut Butter Falcon, sitting at 94% critic score with a 98% audience score. This one stars Shia LaBeouf, Zach Gotts, Dakota Johnson, and you get great cameos by Jake the Snake Roberts, Mick Foley, a.k.a. Mankind, a.k.a. Cactus Jack, and then you get Thomas Hayden Church, the Saltwater Redneck. You also have cameos by John Bernthal and Bruce Dern in here. And if you've seen the trailer for this, you have Zach, who is in a retirement home, and he's placed there because there's no one to look after him. He has no family. Dakota Johnson is the one in charge of this nursing home. And all he wants to do, he's 22 years old, all he wants to do is get out and go to this wrestling school run by the Saltwater Redneck. He does try to an escape, and it's really funny. But, and I'm not spoiling anything here, he does get some help, he does finally escape. As this is going on, you're introduced to Shia LaBeouf's character, who is a fisherman collecting crab traps, and you see him at the beginning of the movie stealing crab traps, which this course of action leads to a series of events that goes on in the backdrop of the movie. So the way Tyler, which is Shia LaBeouf, and Zach come together, it just was seamless, and it made perfect sense when you watch this movie. Tyler reluctantly agrees to take Zach to this wrestling school by foot. And this whole movie is shot in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which I didn't know when I first saw the trailer. It made it seem like the Deep South, and no, we are in the South. We're not in the Deep South. So, but you just get some beautiful wide-angle shots of the waterways, the ocean, and it's just a nice, fun journey. This movie is so heartwarming. Taylor and Zach bring out the best in each other, and he gives Zach a bunch of self-confidence. Even though you have Down syndrome, you're capable of doing a lot of things. And in the same token, Zach was teaching Tyler a lot about himself as well. So the relationship they form, you just feel it, and you just want to go on this ride with them. The movie was a little over an hour and a half. I would like to see more out of them two, and this is why you watch the movie. And then you have Dakota Johnson's character trying to track Zach down to bring him back to the home. I don't want to spoil anything for you. This movie had me laughing. It didn't have me crying, I will say that. There were really no teary-eyed moments, even though Tyler's character is emotionally damaged, and they give you that in flashbacks. And there is a little part fantasy to this movie. And the only knock I'm seeing on this movie is that we've seen these type of movies before. It gets predictable in the third act, and there's nothing new here. And I agree with that. If there was a knock on this movie, that you could kind of see things coming in the way they unfold in the third act. But for me, who cares if I predicted the third act of this movie or I saw things coming? You watch this movie because it is uplifting, and you just love the friendship that these two have and their journey to get to their destination. It made this movie so worth it. I just can't talk enough about this movie, and I'm usually not the one for the heartfelt filled movies, but I was for this one, and as predictable as it was, it paid off for me. So do yourself a favor. This is probably, I don't want to say this is the best movie I've seen all year, but it's pretty damn close. In fact, I'm going to pull a media mosh first here. I believe I'm going to give this the highest rating I've ever given a movie I reviewed in the last 2 years. I'm going to give Peanut Butter Falcon a 5 out of 5. That's how much of a good time I had watching this movie. It just was funny. It was sweet. It had the whole thing. So 5 out of 5 for me. I'm the Peanut Butter Falcon. You better check that out before it leaves the theaters, because I don't know how long it's going to be sticking around. And that's it, folks. It was a pretty damn good week at the movies for me, which is the first time I can say that in a long time. So go check me out in the Facebooks, Media Mosh. Go check out my Twitter handle at Shane Media Mosh. And then go back and check out Mr. Arger and myself, Chris Fodell, on the Twitters, the Instagrams, and the Facebooks. 3 different platforms for 3 different types of content. I hope everyone has a great week. Get caught up. Get caught up in the mosh.